All right, now it says we're going. So I don't know. I'm just going to continue on as if we're going. At least we'll have something. Something will be on YouTube if it's not on Facebook. I'm sorry I can't see you. We're having, I think it's at Facebook's end, but maybe this is it. Maybe we got a live one now. Yeah, we are live finally. Well, we made it to, it's 8:35. We're 5 minutes late, but it is March 4th, and we are here, and we're glad. Casper, you want to come up and say hi again? Come on. Did everybody say hi to Casper? Come on up. Come on up. Hey, there he is, all the way. There you go. Who are those people over there? Where are your friends? There they are. There they are. Right there. There they are. All right. Good deal. All right. Let's gong ourselves in. It's a big day, March 4th. We're going to all March 4th together in a new way, in a higher order of consciousness, and we'll talk about that for the next 20 minutes. Here we go. Big deep breath in. We're going to let out the sound ah. Ah. And relax the shoulders. This time, one more big deep breath in, remembering the gong is just a symbol for the vibration that's coming from us, which is returning through the law of the circle as our multidimensional experience. Here we go. Big deep breath in. And then bring that energy up into your heart center. We are a bunch of light workers, people who know there's only one life, one energy, that energy and matter are equal and interchangeable, that energy as source is intelligence. We know that because we can see intelligence in the world, and we can see intelligence within ourselves, within our very body ourselves. Hey, Elizabeth. Good morning from North Holly. Good morning, Candace from Palm Desert. We are glad you are here, and we're glad you're gathering. We're sorry we had a false start, but you never know what's going on in cyber world back there. So last week we talked about courage, courage coming from the French word coeur, meaning heart. And so when we have courage and the strength that was represented by that word, courage. Hey, Daz, how are you this morning? Nice to see you. We know that we're connecting. In fact, science is beginning to reveal in a new way things that we who have been studying consciousness for decades have known for a long time. That there is a definite connection between the mind and the heart, and that one should not travel with just one of them. One should move with both of you, with your mind and heart all of the time. Because when you're in touch with what's going on in your heart, that's where intuition comes from, which is, as Ernest Holmes, the great philosopher from the last century, said, is the direct access. It's the portal through which God speaks to human beings. Yes. So this is very important for us to be heart-centered in these challenging, tumultuous times. We have certainly seen world events in this year being different than we've seen for quite a while. And it's like riding through a storm. We will get to the other side of the storm. At the other side of the storm, there's always a new day. And so we have to know and have faith in that new day. I'll tell you a story that my mother told me years and years ago. When she was a young mother and had boys, only boys, and the boys wanted to ride roller coasters. Well, she didn't like roller coasters, and so one day she was taking my oldest brother when I was still quite young. I was not ready to ride roller coasters. My older brother wanted to ride a roller coaster, and so my mother agreed to go with him. Now, in those days, back 6 decades ago, roller coasters were mainly made of wood and with tracks, and there was a safety bar, and it was just that, a bar you would pull down and hopefully it latched. And literally holding onto the bar was essential in riding a roller coaster, because it's not like today's roller coasters where you're held in. You were getting slammed around by the various turns and shakes from the roller coaster. Well, anyway, My mother was on this roller coaster ride and was absolutely terrified, right? And good morning. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. You're watching Coffee with Casper. Let me know where you are. We had a slow start this morning, technically, and now we're rolling into it. So we're talking about bringing heart, and really what we're doing in the world, you and I. As Ernest Holmes pointed out, the reason we learn about our unity with all life, the reason we learn about the law of mind or the law of circle, is that we recognize that the idea of the ego that we are separate and independent is a false idea. All things are interrelated and interconnected, and there's no such thing as a disconnected anything. So the events in the world are part of something that we're connected to, but they are not. They're not what needs to drag us down. Our objective is to see through the mist into the eternal and changeless reality. And what we know is that there is a higher order of being, as Moses suggested thousands of years ago. The eternal God is your refuge. The eternal God, you and I know the source, that which is the giver of all life, love, and beauty, is our refuge. And underneath the tumult of the world, there are underlying arms. This has been known, obviously stated out loud thousands of years ago, but until we start to look deeply into it and recognize that Moses was talking about a deep connection to source at that time, or who knows through time, because the rise and fall of masculinity and femininity has been happening also through eons of time. And hopefully we're approaching the place where all humans are created equal, and we begin to see that there is great gifts coming from the masculine side of life and great gifts coming from the feminine side of life. And we need all of it to see through the mist into the eternal and changeless reality, to bring forth what Judge Troward called 100 years or more ago, heaven's first law, which is harmony. Harmony must be the underlying order of the universe. And when we see the saints and sages and mystics and prophets and poets and artists who saw through that mist into something deeper and beautiful, the mist of the tumult of their time, that principle is transcendent. It's transcendent beyond time and space, and we can access it, each one of us, because what you and I are awakening to in a deeper way is that not only do I have a Christ consciousness, a Buddha awareness, a high self, and I am that I am. I am that is the way and the life and the truth. Not only do we have that, but it requires that we see beyond the race mind and beyond the tumult of the surface. And certainly this year is demanding. What was the joke that January was the longest year ever? And I'm not sure February wasn't also. So here we are in March, and it's time for us to march forth in a new way. And we've been talking about this for weeks on Coffee with Casper. Good morning from San Clemente. Let me know where you're checking in from. We had a late start, but we're rolling, and all things are good. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. This is Coffee with Casper. I want to know where you are. And we are talking about how to access our soul, the I am awareness, our soul consciousness, that which is gazing in eternity at the gift of life that we are, that which knows that we are one with the one, and knows that we have the power through our conscious awareness to choose into our life what we will see and how we will see it. So anyway, going back to this roller coaster. So my mother gets on this roller coaster, and of course, just as many of you have ever ridden a roller coaster, it goes up that first hill, and just immediately started to know she'd made a mistake. She was not the right person to ride a roller coaster, and so she was just frightened to death, and she began praying in that roller coaster ride. Please God, get me off of this. If I make it through this, if I survive, I will teach Sunday school. I promise, I'll teach Sunday school. Well, of course, she did survive the roller coaster ride, and she kept her promise. She taught Sunday school for at least a year, and so what happened was she asked from on high, let me see through the mist to the power that underneath there are the everlasting arms that will hold me. And of course, the universe responded, and she made it through safely. And she felt that it was in fact the prayer being answered that is why she made it safely through the ride. And so then she taught Sunday school. So when we're facing a crisis of any kind, and I know all of us in our lives at some time have faced crisis, people, I've noticed in whatever tech data shows me who's watching Coffee with Casper, that it's tends to be more senior people. And of course, laws and principles are not just available to senior people. They're the same laws, equally distributed, available to all people. And oftentimes in our youthful exuberance, we somehow think we don't need a power, we can do it all ourselves, which of course is ego-based thinking, believing we're separate and I can do it all ourselves. So any of you people who are younger, I have children, they're grown children, I have grandchildren, and the principles that I talk about and seek to practice and demonstrate in my life don't belong to any age group. They're available to anybody. They don't belong to any race, color, creed, way of being, to any nation, to any continent. They belong to all people. These are universal laws. And once we begin to practice universal laws and bring them into our experience, we can begin to see the transcendent authority. Now, we talk about transcendence, and what do we mean by transcending? Meaning we are transcending that which disagrees with the law of harmony, which is heaven's first law. If eternity is eternal, nothing can rise up and destroy it. That must mean there's a pattern of harmony behind everything, which allows eternality to continue to exist regardless of what happens in the form of things. Eternality is spirit. Eternality is soul or law or mind, and eternality is our physical reality. So spirit, soul, and body happen. That's how we got here. That's how we are here. So we are not just a body. I am an immortal spiritual being, superior to my mind, to my body, and to my experience, as the great Roy Eugene Davis, the spiritual teacher, taught throughout all of his lifetime. And he was a disciple of Yogananda's, so Paramahansa Yogananda. So we know that once we begin to get hold of the genuine spiritual principles, which is there is a law of mind, or the law of the circle, that is taking, hey, from Albuquerque, good to see you. Hey, Chris, nice to see you this morning from Culver City. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're checking in. So here's another wonderful statement from Ernest Holmes. He says, we do not create laws and principles. We discover and make use of them. Yes? We do not create laws. So, for example, water boiling creates steam. The power of steam to use as a mechanism always existed, but we had to discover it before we could create steam engines and therefore begin locomotion and all of the things that discovery. Electricity always existed before we were able to use it. Ben Franklin discovered electricity existed, but nobody knew how to use electricity until we had worked with that law and principle for some time, and then we learned how to use electricity. Same thing with cyberspace. In my lifetime, before the 1970s, there were no computers. Nobody knew there was such a thing that could be created called cyberspace, and now we're coming into artificial intelligence, meaning the potential to use cyberspace and mind and everything that has come from the human mind now to have technological support with it, these things were unfathomable, but they were always existent until we discovered them. And then after discovering them, we make use of them. And here what we are saying is that the transcendent authority in life is consciousness. Consciousness creates experience. Consciousness is the sum total of everything you've thought, said, done, and felt throughout your entire immortal existence, that which you remember and that which you don't remember, but that is what is bringing your consciousness to you. And once you discover the law of mind or the law of circle, you can begin to raise your vibration. Now, how do we do this? Well, we've talked about this. Daily, we dwell on that which is the life force within me, that which is source. In religion, it has been called by many names and is still called by many names. And so we in the West use the word God, meaning that which is the wholeness of all things, and that is what is beyond all things. We could call it Spirit, we could call it Yahweh, we could call it Father, we could call it Mother, we could call it Father, Mother, we could call it Source, we could call it I Am. But it is in its most universal terms the I Am that is the very being of every soul in every language. However I am is pronounced in that language. And so what you and I are seeking to do is to court the divine presence, to live in the awareness of that I am, and to draw it forth in our experience. To know that regardless of what the roller coaster is doing, I have the power to go within and invite divine safety, divine protection, and then all of the things you can invite that include health, wealth, and success as being normal, as being regular, and stepping beyond fear and the relentless selfishness of the ego. You know, the ego meaning, oh, well, I've been asking God, I've been using treatment or my mind conscious awareness to bring me abundance. And then we get abundance, and we go, oh, well, now I don't have enough abundance. And so I ask as the awareness to bring me connection and awaken my sensuality, and then we get that, and then we want a greater awakened sensuality or a greater awakening of love, right? No matter what the ego gets, it always wants two things. It wants to be right, and it wants more of it. When we start realizing that it is my I am presence that is showing me the real way, that then we begin to go, well, what is going to be the highest good for all? How can I live my life that I can bring the highest good for all? How can I deepen my faith that welcome from Whittier, welcome from Atlanta. Nice to see everybody this morning. I'm sorry we had trouble getting started, but we're here. And so Coffee with Casper started at 8:35 rather than 8:30, and it had a couple false starts. But underneath, there is the desire that we connect. There's the desire that we go upstairs to this higher level of awareness, that we bring that higher level of awareness into our life today. And there's a desire for us to connect in it, right? So if we're reading the newspapers, if we're reading today about a change of the tariffs, we're certainly reading today about the tone coming from senior leaders in this country, and therefore causing a reaction from senior leaders in other countries. And all of a sudden we step into ego awareness, and kindness goes away, and separateness builds. And the more you try to create separateness, the more separateness you can create. But it doesn't change the fact that underneath, all things are interrelated and interconnected, and that everyone is powered by exactly the same source. Nobody knows how to make a liver live or a kidney kid or a heartbeat beat. It's being done unto us. And when we start that inquiry, what is the source of this life, and is it intelligent, and is it loving, and am I safe? These are the biggest questions in life. And the reality is that you are always safe, and you have a power within you that is greater than any darkness outside of you. And so we have to begin to see through that mist and to demand in that mist. And then sometimes we pray at the deepest level of faith and believing and longing for the things that we want or feel that we need or for the benefit of somebody else, and we don't immediately see it. And that is what faith is. Faith is believing in things that are not yet seen, but are indeed known. And each one of us is able to grow that faith, strengthen that faith, and use the law of mind, which is that which brings a higher degree of livingness. Anything that I think about or contemplate that brings about more life. So you're wanting greater health. That benefits everyone. And therefore you have a right to that good because it benefits not only you, but everyone. You want greater success or greater peace in your life, or a greater sense of comfort and safety. And so you begin to pray for that, and then you begin to recognize, oh, well, my bank account is beginning, the opportunities for me to create and bring greater good to my life and be compensated are showing up in a way, and I'm beginning to work more faithfully that those baby steps toward my goals, dreams, and desires that are life-giving are in fact being met by the universe itself, responding to you by corresponding to you to bring more life, to bring more success. But what do you have to do? You have to choose it. You have to choose to be a beneficial presence in the world. You have to ask, since we don't know how to do that, we need to have to ask every day, how can I be of service? Or at any moment or circumstances where you're confused, the great key to the universe is what is mine to do right now. And then trust that which you are doing right now because you ask and seek and knock, and it shall be done. What shall I do in this moment? Ask. And then you'll get an answer. Then move toward that answer. Seek. And if it doesn't, if say, well, I'm looking for greater health, I'm looking for greater wealth, I'm looking for greater love. If you don't see it and it's life-giving, you have to have the faith that underneath there are the everlasting arms. That beyond what's happening, that greater good which I'm seeking is moving toward me. Hey, Dr. Janine, nice to see you from New York today. We got so many powerful souls checking in right at a time when there is so much surface tumult that if we begin to believe, using the roller coaster as a metaphor, that we won't survive the roller coaster ride, well, then you're going to step into fear. And instead of living from faith, you're going to experience all of the discord that comes from fear. You turn the fear to faith and the problem will dissipate. I know there is a source within me. I know that I am one with the one. I know that I am the life forces within me. And if the life force is within me, I didn't create it, I discovered it. And now that you've discovered it, you can make use of it. We discover laws and principles and then make use of it. What we are doing here as light workers in the world, awakening to the interconnectedness of all things, is we're beginning to know how to draw on source to bring forth the first law, harmony, into our lives in a greater way. The heaven's first law has never gone anywhere. It was humanity's miscreations that made it look like it went somewhere. But it has always been there, because look at the writings of the saints, the sages, the mystics, the prophets, the poets. Look at the David. Look at the Pieta. Look at what the artists have seen. Look at the beauty that came through all of the civilizations that have popped up and dissipated along the way. And we begin to see that even in the most barbaric of times, there was a law of harmony, and that beauty existed, and that love existed, and that peace behind the wars existed. And so we have to be that place of peace, and that place of love, and that place of kindness that sees through the tumult of the world and simply knows whatever that roller coaster is, I'm going to get off safely. And I will have learned something by having the faith through the middle of the storm, whatever the storm was. And here in Southern California, the devastation by those fires in such a big, huge 20 million people community, some places it doesn't look like anything happened. But I've driven through the fire zone, and it's extraordinary. And yet, on the other side, there are all of us still living our lives, still finding a way to recover from whatever the disasters have been. There are those finding a deeper faith and drawing on a greater good, that the law of protection, the white light that covers and surrounds me, is keeping me so that nothing but good can come to me. But the storm is all around me. Yeah, but you'll get through the storm. You need to know who you are, and you need to call on it. I know this. I know this not because I'm old. I know this because I have lived through storms, and I have seen beyond the mess, and I have seen a reawakening and a rebirth happening, not only in my life, but in the life of many other souls, once they decide to live from the awareness of their own I am presence. I choose. I understand that we are changing paradigms. I understand the fear of letting go of what was in order to accept a greater good that can be. I understand the disagreements among us in the world, and I understand that beyond our disagreements, we all have that same life force within us, and the color of our blood is the same. Every country, every nation, every kind of being, there's only one life force. There's only one intelligence that's the true and reality of the world. And its principle, its first law is harmony. And we need to now have the faith that I can draw on that law and discover the harmony that is underneath absolutely all of the storms and all of the miscreations and all of the mistakes. I forgive myself for all my mistakes, and I'm moving into the future with a clean slate. Who has the power to do that forgiveness work so that you can free yourself from the limited thoughts of your own greatness and call on the greatness of the force within you that you are one with, that you already deserve because it's being done unto you. You must deserve it because you have it. So how can I use this law of the circle, this law of mind, to transcend the circumstances in the world and continue to grow forward? And the more you grow forward in peace, in love, in joy, in beauty, in balance, in harmony, the more you choose the quality, the eternal verities that you want to live with, that I choose to be a beneficial presence in the world. And I know I am guided, guarded, protected, and led in this day to bring forth that benefit in the world. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. You're watching Coffee with Casper. We're here every Tuesday. We've been doing this for 5 years. We're in cyberspace all over the place. Google Harry Morgan Moses. Google Coffee with Casper. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Please share these ideas that we are sharing together with any way you can. Digitally, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Find your way to just keep joining in, gathering together, and supporting each other in the awakening of the world. We are the right people at the right time, doing the right thing. And we are now being asked to do what the intention of everything we've learned is. We're being asked to see through the mist and call forth the law of harmony into the sphere of our world, and circle upon circle, wheel upon wheel, generation upon generation, the new day shall be dawn. There's got to be a new day on the way because the old way isn't working. And so now is the time to step forth in the light, as the light, and with the light. So thank you for being who you are. Thank you for sharing with me in this experience called Coffee with Casper. Thank you for sharing with me your great awareness in an awakening world. And until we meet again, I invite you to go in light. Come on up, Casper. I invite you to go in the light, as the light, and with the light. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love, he's wagging his tail, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. Bye for now. There's a big boy.